Alan Carpick, Nate Barrett, co-host of this fine show. I think we know it'll be a fine show because we have fine guests. But this is Monday Night Memories, brought to you by Twin City Dodge, and really a fun show today with some of our favorite people. Tom Schott will be hosting or involved very integrally with the Purdue Collectors Memorabilia Show this Saturday at the 4 Points by Sheraton. We've got Curtis Painter. If you thought Mark Herrmann threw for a lot of yards, you can ask Curtis Painter. He threw for even more. But Curtis Painter, former Purdue quarterback from 2005 to 2008. Mark Herrmann, 1980 All-American, Heisman Trophy runner-up, needs no introduction. And Curtis and Mark and Tom will be very much involved with the Collectors Show on Saturday. Tom, give us just a little update or a little thumbnail sketch of what to expect on Saturday. This is not your first rodeo with these. You had a lot of success with these before, and they're really meant to be a lot of fun for a lot of fans.
Yeah, if there's one positive that came out of the pandemic over the last couple of years is people collect stuff. And you mentioned Orlando Whiten, our good friend, one of the biggest collectors I know, and he and I and another friend of ours, Eddie Keister, during the pandemic would meet regularly for lunch, socially distanced, and we thought there's a lot of people collecting Purdue stuff. Why don't we get them all together and put on a show? Memorabilia shows been going on across the country for 40 or 50 years. Why not do one in West Lafayette that's Purdue centric? And that was last August, our first one. Exceeded all our expectations. People came out, had a great time, looking at stuff, buying stuff, trading stuff, selling stuff. Had a couple autograph guests. And we thought we might be onto something here for three amateur businessmen. But and then we had our second one in December, and that one was highlighted by Rick Mount coming up from Lebanon to be a guest autograph signer for a couple hours. We thought it's about time to do another one, and that one is this Saturday. And we're thrilled to have two of the members of the Cradle quarterback and two of my favorite people that I worked with at Purdue, Mark Herrmann and Curtis Painter. And they'll be joined by Robbie Hummel and Everette Stevens on the basketball side, and Stuart Schweigert, who's our kind of Pete Rose of guests. Will be 3 for 3. Stuart coming out, and he really enjoys it as much as the fans do. And it's fun. It's all Purdue people. It's all upbeat. It's a fun day from 10 to 4 on Saturday. So we're looking forward to having these guys out and the others, and just welcoming the collectors back.
Yeah.
Curtis, I'll lead off with you, and then Mark can think about it. But in thinking about the show with you guys, I wondered, what is your favorite piece of Purdue memorabilia that you own, and maybe one that you'd like to have?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm a big experience guy. Any kind of memorabilia that I have in general is something that I've kind of been to, whether it's a ticket stub or something. I really honestly don't have very many autographs or anything like that. But so just going on that memory thing, I know I've got a couple like team footballs signed by all my buddies and the guys that I played with. And, just being able to look at those and kind of, bring back memories of who you played with, read some names that haven't kind of been on your brain in the last, several years. I think those are the type of things that I cherish right now. I think I've got a Purdue helmet and a couple Purdue balls. So those are what I enjoy.
Cool. And Mark, same for you.
Yeah, so many fond memories, wonderful memories. Just being able to share those with the teammates. Certainly the bowl victories and those things, and the trophies, they've got those, and the bowl rings. And, those are the things you really cherish. Your guys worked so hard during the regular season to get that bowl opportunity, and we were fortunate enough to win all three, and have so many gifts and just things that we collected from those games, and just during the course of the year, things that come up, and that you can share with your coaching staff and teammates. Those things, whether it be a jersey, a helmet, a sweatband, a pair of shoes, whatever, those things, you love to think about, and you love to think what it was like back then, and how much fun it was to compete and just having those things around to kind of jog those memories. So that's what's so special to me. And just going to something like this where you just talk to Purdue lovers and they just have so many great memories. And it's so satisfactory to me that people enjoy the time that they watched us play and the joy that we gave them and just the sheer enjoyment of the day. That makes it all worth it from my standpoint. So.
Curtis, you had, and Tom was involved with this obviously in his days as well. 2006 kind of started. Tom's always had a great ability to think in this realm with memorabilia and the importance of history. But in 2006, I remember one of the more seminal events, at least, is the throwback jerseys, Purdue, Indiana State. And I think he put 60 some points on the board that day as well. That hasn't happened very often. But tell me about, what happened? I can't even remember, guys. You guys auctioned those off after, if I remember right. But did you guys, did you end up getting, did any players get them, or do you know if they're still out there or if they're in the realm, so to speak? And Tom or Curtis, you could feel free to pipe in.
Well, let me start because I'll throw it to Curtis because I think he's got a good story on this. But back, we were just kind of starting the online auctions with Purdue Athletics, and we'd get stuff for the equipment room that was, going to go to salvage. And we thought, we could probably make some money for the athletics department off some of this stuff. And then we had the throwback game in 06 that you mentioned, and we did auction off all the jerseys and helmets. And Curtis, was it right? Your dad and your uncle were like, against each other and didn't know they were bidding against each other for your jersey from the game. Is that how I remember that story?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. My uncle ended up winning it, and we just kind of assumed, obviously, the throwback game, and with number 12 also being Bob Greasy's from that same experience. So we just assumed that it was some big Purdue fan alumni, and then we come to find out it was my uncle that bought it. So that was a really cool story. He's got it framed and displayed at his house. So kind of really kind of cool just to kind of keep it in the family. And although we would have loved for others to have it if they wanted it, but kind of nice that we still cherish it.
Yeah.
Mark, aside from the very neat John Wooden memorabilia and the Stephanie White and the Glenn Robinson jerseys in Mackey, perhaps the neatest piece of Purdue memorabilia anywhere is the wax figure of Mark Herrmann that is on Orlando Aidan. And I just wondered if you would like to comment on that, or if you and Orlando have worked out something in his will that you'll get
that back.
But what does that mean to you?
Well, that thing, that was the wax statue up at North Webster. They created that, and somehow Orlando got a hold of it. And I don't know where the hair came from, but it's not the best look. And I keep telling Orlando that, but he said he's not gonna move it. And my wife Susie's threatening to go up and after closing hours and come up and snatch that away. So, but it's always good for a few good stories from folks.
Yeah, it was a classic. And a guy like Orlando Aidan really kind of got started with doing this. I think that I'm not sure that I didn't have an indirect start of that, because I went to a Cubs game with him in 1969. I was the first baseball game I ever went to, and like a dummy, I went down to see if I could get Ernie Banks' autograph, and Hank Aaron hits a ball, hits my seat. O is sitting next to me. It lands on there. O gets the ball and gets it signed by Ernie Banks, I think, and maybe Hank Aaron. I like to tell people that's how it all got started. I don't know that there's any truth to it. And O is not here to defend himself, and he didn't steal it from me. I was just wasn't in the right place at the right time. But Tom, you look at this in terms of what has this explosion of stuff that people find interesting. I mean, that's what's always interesting to me, is what do they find that's extra special from that standpoint? Does that change? Is that evolving anymore? Where do you see that? Like, what do people most interested when they come to the show?
I think you've got really two different types of collectors. You've got what I'll say are kind of beginning collectors that are into autograph photos. They want to meet somebody and get a photo signed, or a basketball or a football, or whatever it might be. They might collect programs or ticket stubs, like Curtis mentioned. And then you've got more advanced collectors. Chris Pate, who has one of the best collections of Purdue stuff, ironically living in Bloomington.
Yeah.
Has had conflicts the first 2 times we've had the show, but he's coming up and we'll have a table. But he will be buying more than anything else, because he is a big, I mean, we all love and appreciate Orlando's collection, but Chris Pates is right up there with it. And I know he's ever in Bloomington, for who knows why they'd want to be in Bloomington, but he welcomes anybody that
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Black to come see it. It's an entire basement. It's really a mini museum. It's phenomenal. And they look for unique stuff, that one of a kind, or stuff that isn't as readily available as, say, a signed photograph or a program or a ticket stub is. But it's just amazing that, people just love to display stuff, and it either evokes a memory that at a game, or they met, Mark or Curtis or whoever it might be, and just that personal connection they made with them. This is a memory for them. Most all of us that are collectors, we're not athletes, so we don't have the on-field or on-court memories to cherish. But being at games or knowing people is kind of our experience, and then we want to have something that that kind of ties in that experience. And I spent a lot of the last 15 or so years of my time in athletics, collecting stuff, because I thought Purdue needed to have all this stuff saved, because at some point someone's going to want this stuff. And I've still got all that stuff, but there's no appetite currently to have any kind of museum, or I get museums are a bit, 20th century, and now we're in the 21st century. But these are not things that I'm selling. These are things I'm still holding on to in hopes that someday Purdue will want this stuff in its archives. But we're kind of in a transition, I think, with what to do with that kind of stuff. So I've got a lot of memorable stuff, especially from the Joe Tiller era, that at some point that needs to go to Purdue and be displayed, or go somewhere. Maybe it's an off-site type museum. But back to your question, I think you've got 2 different types of collectors, and you'll see both kinds at the show Saturday. But most importantly, and the added benefit is they get to meet these guys that they watch play, and again, Purdue athletes have always been so accessible.
Yeah, that's true.
The first time they've met Curtis or Mark or Stuart or Everette or Robbie, but probably the first chance they'll have to meet them this up close and personal, and share some stories with them. And I guarantee Curtis and Mark, you'll have as much fun as the fans will, because it's just such a positive, fun group of people, and you'll enjoy it. I guarantee it.
Guys, the other day we were able to see George Karloftis kind of inducted in what Tom had everything to do with, that den of defensive ends. But when I look at you, Curtis, and you, Mark, I think about Aidan O'Connell and how at a moment like this, after the season he had, and the one we anticipate he could have this fall, it kind of brings both of you guys in the whole cradle of quarterbacks phenomenon at Purdue. Kind of the stock rises again. It brings it back to the forefront. And I'd love to hear maybe Curtis and then Mark on your thoughts for Aidan this fall, and what that does just to the brotherhood of all you quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, he's certainly been impressive over the last, couple of years. Like you said, certainly, hoping for a great season. But, for me, and I'm obviously honored to be mentioned in the same sentence as some of these guys in the past, Mark and others. It's something that I didn't think I'd be a part of. Like I said, I'm honored to be there. But, it just kind of, I guess just shows a little glimpse into the past, and how successful we've been able to be as a program, as an offense. And I'm kind of learning pretty quickly that the older I get, the more a part of history I am. I'm less than each year. So I certainly cherish looking back and being a part of groups like that. And, hopefully we can accept a few more into it as the years come by.
And I was thinking about that because Curtis, we talked about the 2006 uniforms and the throwbacks, but really, Mark, you guys really in 1980, the Liberty Bowl was a whole different deal, because you guys went to black pants, I think, for the first time in the modern era, at least, of Purdue sports. I know that you had some different jersey looks, but you had a Liberty Bowl type jerseys, a little bit different from that standpoint. Did anybody get hold of those the black pants and keep them in the Hall of Fame? Because now it's such a commonplace for Purdue to wear those, and they have what 4 or 5 different styles that they wear. But you guys were trendsetters even back in that December day in 1980.
Yeah, it was a big surprise. We did not have an idea, and when those uniforms were in our locker, when we got to the stadium, we thought, hey, this is pretty cool stuff, because we were gold pants at home and away, either white or black jerseys, and that was the extent of it. There wasn't a lot of jersey combinations, so something like that was unique and kind of one of a kind. So we certainly enjoyed that. And, fortunately it has good memories tied to it because we won the game against Missouri. And I still have the jersey, but not the pants. So at least we get to, have that white Liberty Bowl jersey. But yeah, the black pants were so cool, and we really enjoyed it. And I think the fans, certainly enjoyed a different look than what we had shown all 4 years. So that was fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can you take us through maybe some of the booths and their themes? Because I've noticed in the past shows, maybe one booth might be more themed generally to the university and have some, entire university related memorabilia. Then others are full of jerseys, and then others might have mini helmets. So you maybe give us a little breakdown of what we might see.
Yeah, you'll see all that and more. You'll see things as basic, and I don't mean basic in a negative way, but trading cards certainly are still popular among some folks. You'll have at least one dealer focuses on that. A lot of autographed photos and mini helmets. Orlando will dig out the trunk of game jerseys that he's collected over the years, and we all get to a point too that we realize we can't take this stuff with us. And in Orlando's case, unfortunately, in one hand, but fortunately for collectors, on the other hand, he doesn't have family members that are interested in assuming the collection. So he's slowly parceling some of it out, but certainly he's not at a point where he's selling massively to get rid of it. But all collectors will tell you they probably have too much stuff, and if they don't tell you, their spouse will tell you stuff. But and non-memorabilia related, but Corey Palm, who I know Alan and Nate and Mark know, works in Purdue Athletics, has recently published a book on the 1943 football team and just the tie-in it had with the war and the Army and the Navy, and he's going to come and sign the copies of his book that came out a few months ago, which will be great. Corey is a great ambassador for Purdue history, and was thrilled that he wanted to come out and just talk Purdue sports from a little different angle than the collecting angle. And that's what this is all intended to be, is just a day of Purdue athletics and just a lot of fun.
Yeah, a reminder, the show will be Saturday, April 30th, and we also will have information right below the link to this on our site, all the information you need in terms of costs, etc. But it's a pretty it is a very family-friendly event. In fact, what is it? Kids 12 and under get admitted for free as well. So that's what makes it a lot of fun. Okay, we talked about it before the show started, not at length, but everybody's talking about name, image, and likeness. This is name, image, and likeness for Mark Herrmann and Curtis Painter, just a little bit too late, maybe, but from their standpoint. But you guys are both reasonable guys. You've been through this. You look at college sports and college football, and I'll throw in Tom as well. And Nate, if you got a solution to this, I'm all ears too. But tell me, I'll start with you, Mark. Not necessarily how this shakes out, but what if you're a dyed-in-the-wool college sports fan? The world has changed. We know that. Two things: transfer portal, NIL have been game changers in the landscape of college sports. But what do you hope to see as this moves forward? From your perspective, you obviously work in Purdue athletics and raise money there, but obviously also extremely tied to the history of college athletics. How do you hope this can resolve here down the road?
Well, I know the goal was to make sure that players were somehow being compensated maybe outside their normal so-called occupation or vocation, and that's being a student athlete, and somehow be able to compensate them for time that they were spending on the practice field, and just be able to acknowledge that there may be an opportunity to brand yourself and name, image, or likeness, and be able to maybe capitalize that on a little bit more than we have had been able we would have been able to in the past, as Curtis and myself. And so, the foundation of it certainly makes sense, but boy, this has taken a turn that, I didn't expect to see the numbers that are flying around right now. And it's certainly Nigel Pack was the one that kind of was close to Purdue fans because we fully expected him to end up in West Lafayette. But, this, I don't like to see this, but I know this is something that we're going to have to deal with in the coming years. But from Purdue's standpoint, I think we always want to do things the right way and make sure that we're not, taking away from our integrity and maybe, we want athletes here for the right reasons to get a degree, to be able to, excuse me, compete for Purdue University. And if there are those individuals that may be able to capitalize on something like this, so be it. But, when this becomes like a so-called horse auction where you're bidding on athletes and the highest bidder, and there may be a donor that comes out of the blue and throws around some serious kinds of money. I don't like to see that, but if we can get these collectives going, maybe that'll be the answer. And maybe there becomes a cap on what you can give to a player, but just certainly the 900,000 or the 2 million from Shabiwe or whatever his name is from Kentucky. And so that's a little bothersome. So long story. I just think I worry about where this is going because it seems more of a professional model, free agency kind of model, as opposed to the love of the college athlete, the amateurism part of it. That part worries me a little bit on where we're going.
Curtis, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, well, not much. He hit the nail on the head. I think that the obviously is there. We all kind of understand the goal of it and where it came from, but yeah, you just hope that there are some sort of guidelines put in place, or you could see it getting out of hand much quicker than it already has. But so yeah, hopefully there's something that becomes of it that helps protect everybody. But yeah, I think we're just starting to see, kind of a new game, right? A new way of college football, and whether that's through the recruiting process or the transfer process, and it'll be interesting coming up, I think.
Yeah.
Al, if I could just interject, you mentioned Aidan O'Connell earlier, and we had him as a guest at our show in December, and I think it was, and I'm not tooting our own horn, but we were able to give him a nominal fee to appear, and it went through compliance as it has to, and it was all up and up and exactly what I envisioned the NIL is intending to be. Aidan was able to profit over him being the Purdue quarterback, and we weren't throwing around crazy money for him to come sit for a couple hours. It was fair market, and I think that's there is beauty in it, but certainly as we talked before, it certainly has a chance to go awry if cooler heads don't prevail.
Yeah, the intent is there. Curtis, I wanted, because we talked about Mark and what Mark's doing with the Purdue Athletics and in the John Purdue Club. What is your day job these days? You're living in north side of Indianapolis, but give us a quick update on what's new with Curtis Painter.
Yeah, so just a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I joined a group, Indiana Liquor Group. We are a retailer of liquor stores here in Indiana. We've got 46 locations, mostly Noblesville up to Anderson, Muncie, Newcastle area. So kind of on the I-69 corridor as kind of a footprint. But relatively new company. We're looking to grow still, but but yeah, it's a pretty fun industry. Not too many people get too bent out of shape about selling booze or enjoying a nice cocktail every now and then. So it's a good group of people to be with.
Great. Well, great. Nate, last word for you. Any last words of wisdom from Mr. Barrett?
No, I was just going to tease Curtis, Alan, and ask if guests of this particular show receive any free samples from Curtis.
And if you can deliver it within the next half hour, we can have happy hour here. That'd be perfect.
Well, I can't pull that off, so I guess I have to ask it.
Hey guys, thanks so much for your time. I look forward. I think you'll have a great show on Saturday. Again, at the Purdue Collectors Memorabilia Show at the Sheraton 5 Points, 4 Points, I guess it is actually. And that will be on Saturday, April 30th, 10 to 4. Curtis will be there noon to 2. Mark 1 to 3, I think. Or no, Mark, you're 11 to 1. Rob Hummel 1 to 3 as well. Everett Stevens 11 to 1, and Stuart Schweigert will probably be there the whole time, the way things work. so that's a good thing. So, but Tom, thanks for your efforts. This is a great thing, I think, and you're on to something that is very, very important. We all love the history of Purdue athletics, and I think even with Curtis and Nate being the 2 youngest in the room here, it's an important thing. It's important to remember the things that went on before 2022, that's for sure. So guys, have a great rest of the day. Thanks for participating on our Monday Night Memories. Thanks to Twin City Dodge. Nate knows a thing about that place, twincitysuperstore.com. We appreciate you folks as well. So have a great rest of your Monday evening or whenever you process or watch this, and we'll look forward to seeing you all out there on Saturday. Take care all.
Thank you.
Thank you.